I'm 53. Should I go back to school? That's not me saying this. This, of course, you could probably tell I'm a little bit older than 53. But this is one of my viewers who has mentioned in his comment after watching one of my videos, he mentions that, hey, there's an option of going back to school, but with ageism out there, is this really something I should be considering, or should I just kind of basically throw in the towel? But you know what? Andrew, the person who submitted this comment, he's not the only one who has written me, who's commented and asked, should I go back to school? I'm in my 50s, my mid-50s, my late 50s. Is this something that I should be considering? Is it really an option? Well, I'm going to tell you a formula that I recommend that you use to determine if going back to school is for you. And I'm going to share that formula with you right after this break. Welcome back to Over 50 TV. My name is Lou Reyes. And as I said before the break, in this video, what I want to do is I want to share a formula with you that I created, that I developed. Just a series of questions that you can ask yourself to determine if going back to school is for you. But before I give you that formula, I just want to mention that this video is sponsored by Career Fitter. Career Fitter produces a career aptitude test, which I think is among the very best career aptitude tests out there. I've reviewed a lot of the top career aptitude tests, and I found this one to be among the very best. I've got a link to the free Career Fitter career aptitude test in the description box. So now let's get on to our video. Let's talk about, should you, when you are older, when you're in your 50s, should you go back to school? Let me begin this video by reading you the comment that I received from Andrew. And actually, I've gotten a number of comments. I'm also going to mention a second comment that I got received from a gentleman named Mike. I won't give the last names of these guys, but I will read to you what they wrote. And let's start again with Andrew's comment. And he says, I've been considering going back to school at 53 years of age for accounting because I know that it's an in-demand field, and in light of seeing what happened during COVID, he says it's a very remote, capable position as well. And he says, but your video, the video that I did on ageism in the workplace, and I've done a number of videos on ageism. I'll put links to those videos, some of those videos in the description box. You can check them out. But he says, makes me really wonder if I'm not lying to myself and thinking that ageism isn't really an issue today. I think I may be wasting my time. Well, let me just address Andrew's comment first. Andrew, you're not wasting your time. Anytime at all that we can sharpen our skills, learn a new skill. You know what? It makes us more marketable, and I don't think it's a waste of time whatsoever. Whatever we learn, whatever we gain, no one can take it away from us. So to me, I'm answering that first part of your question here. No, you're not wasting your time, buddy. What you're doing is you're investing in yourself. You know, I got another comment, and I did mention from another gentleman. His name was Mike. And Mike says this, and this is similar, which is why I'm going to read this to you. And it says here, I'm 54 and never finished college. I've been working as a handyman and a musician. I think I want to work in corporate America and leave the self-employment behind. I'm just not sure what I can do with my experience, as going back to school is going back to school a crazy idea. Part of me wants to accomplish finishing my college education, but the thought of taking classes freaks me out. I was never a great student. Plus, I feel weird about going to school at my age. Any advice? I got plenty of advice for both of you guys, for both Andrew and Mike, and anybody out there who is thinking about going back to school. So let me give you a series of questions, things that I believe you should ask yourself if you are considering going back to school. If you find yourself in one of these positions, a position that Andrew's in or Mike is in. First, I want you to ask yourself this question. What is my goal? Write it down. What's my goal? What do I want out of life? What do I want out of a career? Am I going back to school to get this particular degree? Am I doing it for the money, or am I doing it because it will make me happy? Happiness counts, my friend. When you're older, even when you're younger, to me, you know what? Don't do anything that doesn't make you happy, anything that you can't get up in the morning and be excited about going into work. Because if you're not doing something, if you're not working towards something that'll make you happy, you're not going to be motivated. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to spend some time, whether it's days, weeks, months, or even maybe a few years, to get that new education, to upgrade your skills. And then you're going to peter out, the energy level is going to go down, and you're going to realize, you know what, this isn't really what I want. There's got to be something else that's better out there. So the number one thing I'm going to ask you to do, please do, is ask yourself, what is my goal? What do I really want? How long will it take? That's the next question that I recommend you ask yourself if you decide or thinking about going back to school. If you are close, if you're close like Mike says in the comment, Mike says that he never finished college and he's thinking about going back. Well, how long will it take you to go back to get that degree? How long will it take? Will it take 6 months? Will it take a year? Will it take a couple of years? Do you have the time? Ask yourself, how long will this take me? And is this an investment of my time that I truly, truly see is important? Because if it is not that important to you, don't attempt to go back to school. Find some other way to increase your skills, to sharpen your skills, or to learn a new skill. But how long will it take, and are you willing to put in that effort? What could hold me back? That's the next question that you want to ask yourself. What obstacle could appear that can be anticipated, because there's always going to be some obstacles or some situations that you just can't anticipate. But of anything that you could anticipate, what is it? Maybe you are talking to your spouse and she is saying, yeah, go back to school. Or he's saying, yeah, go back to school. But you know deep in your heart, you know that, you know what, that support, that probably is going to wane. They're not going to stick it out with me that it's going to take me to 2 or 3 years or maybe even less. Maybe it's going to be a year. What obstacles could appear that could hold you back? And again, I stress the fact that there's going to be things that are going to be happening that you just can't anticipate. But you need to ask yourself and be realistic. What obstacles could occur? Maybe you're going to run out of money. You save money to go back to school and you realize, you know that I've only got enough to go back to school for X amount of months or maybe a year or so, but you know it's not going to last. Well, how are you going to replenish that cash, that money, so that you can continue your education? So look at any obstacles that could appear and be sure that you're realistic with those. Don't just hope that this is going to happen and I don't have to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to keep plowing ahead. I admire that. I admire somebody who's going to plow ahead, but be realistic. What obstacles could appear? Cost of the education. What's this going to cost me and how will I pay it back? Those are two very important questions that you really should be asking yourself. What's this going to cost you? And then, of course, how are you going to pay it back? And you really want to have a solid plan and what this is going to cost. You want to know your costs. Whenever I am about to do something that I know is going to be an investment of money, and I'm talking about a larger amount of money, I'm going to go ahead and figure out exactly what this is going to cost. And then I'm going to budget it in. And I recommend that you do the same thing, and you probably do it. Hopefully you're already doing this when you get your weekly or your biweekly or maybe your monthly paycheck. You're planning out your bills. So do this with your education as well. How much is it going to cost me? And be sure you know how you're paying it back. And I would just ask you to consider avoiding debt at all costs. Maybe you can get some kind of a grant or some kind of a no interest loan if that's at all possible. I prefer not to borrow money, period. But ask yourself that. Ask yourself, what's this going to cost me and how am I going to pay it back? How will I earn a living while I'm going back to school? For most of us out there, for most of you, I imagine we're over 50 years old. We're going to have to keep our full-time job, or maybe we're working 1 or 2 part-time jobs. So that question, the answer to that question is really pretty obvious. You're going to have to continue working, but just make sure that you understand that and that you accept it and you don't moan about it. Yeah, I've got to go to school and I'm working and I'm putting all these hours in and I have no personal life whatsoever. Yeah, that's going to be true. But don't look at where you're at today. Look at where you know you are going to be at tomorrow. So investing in yourself will certainly be worth it. But ask yourself, how am I going to pay the bills while I am going back to school, and accept the fact that you are one of millions of people out there who've had to do the same thing. You work full-time and you went to school part-time, either evenings or weekends. Accept it. It's a reality. But understand how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to earn a living while you are going back to school. Now, this is my very last question that I think you should ask yourself, and there may be a few others out there that I haven't thought of, but I believe that what I'm giving you right now are the key questions you want to ask yourself. But here's the important one. What's the marketability of the skill or the certificate of this new skill that I am learning? What's the marketability? What's the potential to make money? And this is something that you really need to examine. And I mentioned that career aptitude test previously. I think taking a career aptitude test, yeah, it's important, because what it does is it helps you. It helps you to wade through all these other ideas, all these prospects, all these options, and figure out what's best for me, what's best for my skill set, for my personality, for my psychology, what's the best position for me. But when you are going back to school, and I mentioned this previously, you're going back because you love what you're going to be doing, or you're going back for the money. And I always will say go back for what you love to do, because that will be the motivator when times are tough, when the situation is very difficult. When you're going back for something that you really enjoy and you really want to do, well, that will get you through most of the time. But again, what's the marketability of this position? Now, let's go back to Andrew, because he mentioned that he's thinking about going and getting his degree in accounting. And I'm hoping that if he decides to do that, I'm hoping it's because he really likes numbers and it's something that he knows he would enjoy. But the marketability of accounting is extremely high. And yeah, he mentioned he's worried about ageism in the workplace, and am I fooling myself is what he's asking. And yeah, he may think, hey, am I fooling myself because, I'll get my degree or my certificate in accounting, and then I'll get a job and I'll get fired because of my age, or he's worried because he won't get a job. But here's the thing. If you get the right skill, and Andrew's skill in accounting, to me, the potential to become self-employed or to pick up some side work is tremendous. That's what I have for you today, my friends. Ask yourself those questions. Those questions, I believe, are very, very important to ask yourself. Don't do anything just for the money. But of course, you do need to make money. So you want a skill that's marketable, that's going to land you that job, and it certainly hopefully has potential that you can leverage those skills and do a side gig if that's what you want to do. That's all I got for you. As I mentioned, if you have any questions, you're welcome to send me your question in a comment. You can send me an email. I'll be happy to look at it. I try to get back to them as fast as I can. I want to mention before we go, this video, once again, is sponsored by Career Fitter. The Career Fitter Career Aptitude Test. There's a link to that test, the free test, in the description box. Well, as I always say, have a great day, everybody.